Mingalaba everyone, and welcome back to our Abhidhamma study class. This is class 9. We will be going over first the Pāḷi pronunciation practice, and from 5:30 to 6, and from 6 to 7, we will be going over the Abhidhamma study class, our Abhidhamma lecture. From 7 to 7:30, we'll have question and answer, aspirations and sharing merit, and we will close with Metta. Thank you. Whenever Seattle is ready, we would like him to lead us in saying Namo Tassa before we begin.
Okay. Let's start our today's session. We recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Thank you, Seattle, for leading us in Namo Tassa. We will now begin with the Pāḷi pronunciation method. Thank you.
Okay, for the Pāḷi pronunciation method, and we have already explained, and also we have already practiced for recitation. So for the Untitled Sutta last week, and we have shared the paper. If you have any question for the pronunciation system, and then you can ask first, and then after that we will continue recitation or practice. So please let me know if you have a question. So yeah, we have shared here Untitled Sutta. So most of the while we already understood how to pronounce. So where to stop, where to pause our recitation is connected to the understanding of the Pāḷi wa. So if you know the Pāḻi wa, the meaning where stop, and you can make your recitation properly where you can pause, because through the listening the recitation, we can understand if we correctly pause somewhere, if needed to pause. Because some more are connected, combined for the fluent pronunciation or fluent recitation. And that's why only those who understand the Pāļi, they can recite it, they can recite in proper way, where they have to pause. That's why if you want to recite properly, you should listen the recitation first. Where the bhikkhu or the scholar who understand Pāļi, they stop or they pause to give the proper meaning. As you know, the Buddhist text always explain the meaning. So without understanding meaning, is strange to recite. So if you are the one who like to recite Buddhist text, so I would like to encourage better to understand, even if you use the translation to your own language or the language you understand, to from Pāli to the language. After translation, reading the translation, and then you recite, and then that become meaningful. So the Dhammacakka Putana Sutta, there, if we say that the meaning through the recitation, there is plain in two extreme. So through the recitation or listening of recitation, then the meaning and come into our mind, our understanding. So in this way, you can make your recitation more meaningful. Here in another Lakkhana Sutta, it goes according to the order of the Khanda, 5 aggregate. So Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. This is the order of the 5 aggregate. So Buddha mentioned there all are anatta. So all are anatta. Okay, let's see from that. If you don't have any question for recitation, and I just want to introduce the meaning, so that you can consider the original meaning while you are reciting. So here, the first, this is introduction, and for the starting point, the Buddha asked the anatta. So rupam anatta, like this, and also in the same way it repeated to Vedana anatta, Sanya anatta, Sankhara anatta, Vijnana anatta. So if we make conclusion, we understand that 5 aggregates are non-self, like this. 5 aggregates are non-self. Then also the Buddha give the right reasoning why he said the 5 aggregates are anatta. Yeah, he gave the reason. If the rupanja hidam bhikkhave atta apavisa, in the same way it repeat with the vedanaja hidam bhikkhave atta apavisa, because it shows the unreal situation. So the conditional statement, unreal situation. If 5 aggregates are self, so atta apavisami, if 5 aggregates are self, so naidam rupa abhadaya samvatteya is one. So this 5 aggregate will not be the cause for painful. Will not be the cause for painful. So actually, after that, the Buddha mentioned that, and there will be management. So possible to have the management for that. Ewame rupa hotu, ewame rupa mahosi. So mind 5 aggregate be in this way, or not be in this way. If self or if belong to us, and must be, it must not be for painful, and also it must be under our control, according to our will. But actually, in the real situation, the 5 aggregates are anatta, not self. That is why the 5 aggregates can be the cause for painful, the cause to be painful, and also they are not following to our intention or our expectation. So although we don't want to become so getting old, but still it continue like this. So if we reflect on the 5 aggregate, just arising their own nature, and the nature of the non-self become clear. So to explain, the Buddha preach the former 5 paragraph, sankhara up to the vijnana. So in this way, if you understand, and then recitation become meaningful. And another session here, the Buddha continued, Dange Manyata Bhikkhave, how do you think? The Buddha continue to explain, to reveal the nature of the non-self. So he starts from the anicca. So Rupan Bhikkhave and Rupan Nijjava Anijjava. So he just asked to choose whether permanent or impermanent. Nijja is impermanence and Anijja impermanent. So the Buddha asked, continuing for 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates are whether permanent or impermanent. At that time, the Pañcavaggiya Bhikkhu, the audience, they respond Anicca. Because they has already understood through the experience of the former Megha. So after listening the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Vinaya attained the enlightenment. After that, and then the Buddha guides the other bhikkhus, and the other bhikkhu also attain their following days, and they attain one after another the enlightenment. So they already understood 5 aggregates are impermanence. That's why they respond anicca. Then Buddha continue the reasoning. If the 5 aggregate anicca, so whether they are dukkha or not, dukkha or sukha, so painful or pleasant, and they respond dukkha. Already understood the 2 meaning of the impermanence and dukkha already clear for them for the complete understanding. Then for the non-self, the Buddha again developed the showing the anicca and dukkha, and also they have the nature of the changing or turning to the different nature. Viprinama dhamma. So Buddha continued, Kalanutta Samnupasitam. Is this suitable to reflect on 5 aggregate that ita mama, this is mine, isoha masmi, this is I, iso me ada, this is myself. So for this question, they respond, no hitam bandi. It means it's not suitable. It cannot be possible bandi. So in this way, Buddha made clear to the audience about the 5 aggregate as non-self. Then Buddha continued to reflect this kind of, to repeat this kind of reflection on the 5 aggregate for non-self to understand anicca, dukkha. After that, conclusion come to anatta. So if the bhikkhu have understood or accepted this nature, and then he should develop, including all kinds. So here 11 nature are explained. Atita, Anagata, Paṭipatti. After that, Ajata, internal, and Bahita, external. Olarika, gross, and Sukuma, subtle. Hina, low, and Panita, high. And Dura, far, and Sandika, near. So all kinds of rupa. After that rupa, after that, Buddha continued to 5 aggregates. So all kinds of 5 aggregates. Regarding the all kinds of 5 aggregates, we have to reflect on the nidda mama. This is not mine. Nid soha masami. It is not me. This is not me. Just seeing that group of 5 aggregates for the Vipassana practitioner is become clear. So a group of 5 aggregates arising and disappearing. Then the conclusion comes, nidda mama nisoha masami. Na miso ada. This is not myself. Or a non-self. And by this conclusion, he need to repeat this reflection on the 5 aggregate. After that, how happy and what are the benefits? The Buddha mentioned that evam pasam bhikkhave sutta variya savaka, the noble disciple who followed to the Buddha's instruction, he becomes sick of the 5 aggregate, no more attachment. Then the liberation comes. So this Anatta Sutta connected to their liberation from all kinds of attachment through the understanding of their characteristic, 3 characteristics: anicca, impermanent, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, non-self, on 5 aggregates. Then because of that, and following the Buddha's teaching, at the end of the Buddha's teaching, and then all Pañcavaggiya bhikkhu, they has attained the fully enlightened stage of Arhata Phala. So this is the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. So let's recite together Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. I think after this we can finish our Pāli study, Pāli pronunciation study session, and next week we can start from the Abhidhamma directly. Okay, so let's start our recitation. Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. Ewa ekam samayam Bhagava Paranasiyam viharati isi padane migadayi Tattara ko Bhagava Panjavagiye Bhikkhu amandesi Bhikkhavoti Padandedi De Bhikkhu Bhagavato Pajasosum Bhagava ita davocha Rupam bhikkhave anatta Rupam jahidam bhikkhave atta abhavisa Naidam rupam abadaya samodiya Lavitaja rupi Ewame rupam hotu Ewame rupam mahosidim Yasama jako bhikkhave rupam anatta tasama rupam abadaya samodati nacha labati rupe ewame rupam hodu ewame rupam mahositi virana anatta virana jahidam bhikkhave atta abhavisa Naidam virana abadaya samodiya labitaja viranaya ewame virana hodu ewame virana mahosidi yasamaja ko bhikkhave virana anatta tasama virana abadaya samodati naja labati viranaya Ewame virana hodu, ewame virana mahositi. Sanya anatta, sanya jahidam bhikkhave, atta abhavisa. Naidam sanya, avadaya samodiya. Labitaja sanyaya, ewame sanya hodu, ewame sanya mahositi. Yasamaja ko bhikkhave sanya anatta tasama sanya abadaya saodati raja labati sanyaya ewame sanya hodu ewame sanya mahositi sankhara anatta sankhara jahidam bhikkhave atta abhavisansu naidam sankhara Abadaya saodiyom Labitaja sankharisu Ewame sankhara hondu Ewame sankhara mahi sondi Yasamaja ko bhikkhave sankhara anatta Tasama sankhara abadaya saodandi Naja labati sankharisu Ewame sankhara hondu Ewame sankhara mahi sondi Vinyanam anatta Vinyanam jahidam bhikkhave atta abhavisa Naidam vinyanam abadaya samodiya Labitaja vinyani Ewame vinyana hodu Ewame vinyana mahositi Yasamaja ko bhikkhave Vinyanam anatta tasama vinyanam avadaya samodati naja labati vinyani ewame vinyanam hotu ewame vinyanam mahositi tanke manyata bhikkhave rupan nijam va anijam vati anijam bandi yambana nijam dukkam vatam sukham vati Dukkam bandi Yambana nijam dukkhaṃ viparinama dhammam kalanutam samanupasitum etam mama isoha masami isomi attati no hidam bandi virana nijawa anijawadi anijam bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ dukkhaṃ vadam sukham vadi dukkhaṃ bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ viparinama dhammam kalanutam samanupasitum itam mama isoha masami isomi adadi no hidam bandi sanya nijam wa anijam vadi anijam bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ vadam sukham vadi dukkhaṃ bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ viparinama dhammam kalanutam samanupasitum etam mama isoha masami isomi adadi no hidam bandi sankhara nijam wa anijam vadi anijam bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ vadam sukham vadi dukkhaṃ bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ viparinama dhammam kalanutam samanupasitum itam mama isoha masami isomi adadi no hidam bandi viññāṇam nijam wa anijam vadi anijam bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ vadam sukham vadi dukkhaṃ bandi yambana nijam dukkhaṃ viparinama dhammam kalanutam samanupasitum itam mama isoha masami isomi attati no hidam bandi tasamadi habikavi yanginji rupam adita nagata paccupannam ajatam va bahidam va olarikam va sukkhumam va hinam va panidam va yandure sandike va sabbam rupam netam mama nisoha masami na meso attati ewa metam yatha bhutam sammapanyaya dathabam yakaji virana adita nagata paccuppanna ajatava bahidava olarikam va sukkhumam va hinam va panidam va yadure sandike va sabba virana nedam mama nisoha masami na meso attati ewa metam yatha bhutam sammapanyaya dathabam yakaji sanya adita nagata paccuppanna ajatava bahidava olarikava sukkhumava hinam va panidam va yadure sandike va sabba sanya nedam mama nisoha masami na meso attati ewa metam yatha bhutam sammapanyaya dathabam yekeji sankhara adita nagata paccuppanna ajatava bahidava olarikava sukkhumam va hinam va panidam va yedure sandike va sabbe sankhara nedam mama nisoha masami na meso attati ewa metam yatha bhutam sammapanyaya dathabam yankinci viññāṇam adita nagata paccupannam ajatam va bahidava olarikam va sukkhumam va hinam va panidam va yamdure sandike va sabbam viññāṇam netam mama nisoha masami na meso attati ewa metam yatha bhutam sammapanyaya dathabam evam pasam bhikkhave sutta-variya savako rupasmin pi nibbindati vedanaya pi nibbindati sanyaya pi nibbindati sankharesu pi nibbindati viññāṇasmin pi nibbindati nibbindam virajati viraga vimucchati vimuttasmin vimuttamiti ñāṇam hoti khina jati usidam brahmachariyam katam karaniyam Naparan itataya dipajanadi. Ida mawaja bhagava adamana panchavagiya bhikkhu bhagavato bhasitam abhinandundi. Ima samin chapana viyakarana samin bhanyamani panchavagiyanam bhikkhunam anubadaya asavehi chaitani vimochin sudi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, this is Untitled Sutta. So after listening these two sutta, the Pancavakiya Bhikkhu, the 5 ascetics, they has attained the arhatship and liberated from samsara. So what about you? Not only one times, many times already, right? So it will be different background, you know, the paramita and also understanding. So if we hear about the rupam, so we just say rupam, we just hear rupam, and our mind just stuck to the rupam dawa. But for the Pancavakiya, if they hear rupam, their understanding go to the nature of the materialities. And also they understand the nature of the impermanence, suffering, and non-self by following the Buddha's Dhamma talk. That's why they has attained the enlightenment. So you need more concentration, more understanding, more effort. So many people, you know, now you may be the practitioner of the meditation. Meditation, not easy, you know that. Not easy. The time of meditation, even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, for the beginner, or very long. It means not easy. If it is easy, it's go very fast. So if you think through going meditation, or the practice of attainment is very difficult. And so trying to develop more paramita, like the Pancavakiya, you know, that they just within 5 days, full moon day, starting from the full moon day, and then the 5th day after listening the Untitled Sutta, their way of practice already finished. They don't need to practice the whole life. So accumulate paramita and also develop understanding and concentration. Okay, I hope all of you attain the enlightenment through the easy way. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Sayadaw, for leading us in the teaching of the Pāḷi Pronunciation Method. We've successfully learned how to pronounce Roman Pāli over several classes since class 3 on August 24th, 2022. And this marks the last class for the Pāļi Pronunciation Method. Thadu, thadu, thadu. We will now begin the next part of the class, which is the Abhidhamma Lecture. Sayadaw would like to invite you to begin the lecture. Thank you very much. Oh, and the lecture will be on the unwholesome consciousness, the Akusala Citta.
Okay. Okay. And let's start our today's Abhidhamma lesson. And today's topic is unwholesome citta. Unwholesome citta. Akusala citta is not a good topic. Akusala, unwholesome, but actually it's good to know. Otherwise, you know, that we will repeat again and again to let this kind of consciousness arise in our mind. So if we understand unwholesome nature, so first of all, before we continue, the explanation in the slide, and I would like to introduce the nature of unwholesome. So the nature here, we translate unwholesome is Akusala. So akusala. Or kusala and akusala, they against each other. So here only a inside in front of the just before the kusala. So if you remove a, it's kusala. So the nature of kusala is not guilty, not guilty. So without any blameworthy things or not blameworthy, kusala. And also it brings the good benefits. Good benefits. It is nature of kusala. If you insert the word at just before the kusala, it becomes akusala, the opposite meaning. So akusala, the nature of akusala is guilty. And also it brings unpleasant result. So this is the different characteristic of wholesome and unwholesome. So whatever you do by bodily action, verbal action, or mental action is guilty and bring unpleasant result. It is unwholesome. So here, pleasant and unpleasant or cannot be measured by your preference. Is decided by the nature. According to nature, it is good or it is bad. So sometimes the people have their preference. According to their preference, something become good or something become bad. But for this wholesome and unwholesome case, the result are determined through their nature. Something is beneficial or not. And for the medicine, you know that when you take medicine, mostly they are not good to take. But if after taking that medicine, it becomes the good benefits. And for the alcohol, so many people, they like to drink alcohol. I don't know how they feel, and drinking maybe good then, but later from their ethical standpoint, ethical point of view, it does not bring the good result. That's why it is considered as akusala. So this is the nature of wholesome and unwholesome. So today we will study about the unwholesome consciousness. So as I has introduced the ultimate reality, Citta, Cittasika, Rupa, and Nibbana. Their Citta, if we call it, we already repeated many times to make easy to remember. There are 89 types, altogether 89 types. Among the 89 types of the consciousness, Citta, there are 12 consciousness are called unwholesome or akusala, only 12. But you know, there are only 12 also not easy to avoid because it's come into the nature. So lobha, dosa, moha already have. And due to the roots of the lobha, greed, and dosa, hatred, and moha, delusion. 3 roots considered as the unwholesome. So by 3 roots, the consciousness arises. There are only 12 consciousness. They are called the unwholesome consciousness. So here, because we will talk about the unwholesome consciousness with their specific roots. So lobha, dosa, moha as the roots of the 12 consciousness. Without these 3 mental factors of lobha, dosa, moha, unwholesome consciousness cannot arise. So if you are thinking that whether this type of consciousness is wholesome or unwholesome, you need to try to investigate whether they have the root of greed, hatred, or delusion. If they have the root of greed, hatred, or delusion, that is definitely unwholesome. maybe the object related to the bhikkhu or the Dhamma teaching or something like this, but still, if it developed through the unwholesome root of greed, hatred, and delusion, they are called akusala. So, on the other hand, you can understand by the absence of three unwholesome roots. If you investigate, there's no greed, no hatred, no delusion as their root. That is not unwholesome, because all unwholesome consciousness are rooted in the greed or hatred or delusion like this. So in this way, we understand akusala have the roots, and also some other consciousness also have the roots. And in this case, in this slide, I would like to emphasize that some consciousness arise without roots. They are called the rootless consciousness, ahetuka citta. Among the 89 consciousness, you can take a note here, 18 consciousness, 18 consciousness are rootless. They arise without any roots. 18 consciousness. So the remaining 71, because we already have only 89. So if we substitute, if we, how to say that, if we exclude the 18 rootless consciousness, the remaining 71 consciousness are sahetuka, consciousness with roots. With roots mean accompanied by roots. Because when consciousness arises, the mental fetters accompany. Among the mental fetters, accompanying mental fetter, if we can find any roots, any mental fetters here, six of the one of the six roots, it is called the consciousness with roots or consciousness accompanied by roots. In Pali, it is called sahetuka citta. So, if you cannot find among the accompanying mental fetters any of these six roots, that consciousness is called rootless consciousness. So now we understand how to identify rootless consciousness or consciousness with roots. In Pali, ahetuka or sahetuka. So ahetuka 18, sahetuka 71. Okay. And in the sahetuka also, among the 71 sahetuka citta, some consciousness have only one root. Only one root. So sometimes we can find only one root of delusion. This is called the ekahetuka. So consciousness with one root. And some consciousness we can find among the accompanying mental fetters, two roots. So lobha and moha, or dosa and moha, like this, two roots we can find. And sometimes we can find the alobha and adosa. They are called the dvihetuka, consciousness with two roots. And for the last type, tihetuka, consciousness with three roots. When they arise among the accompanying mental fetter, we can find the three roots. And here, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, like this. So later, after learning which accompanied by their specific group of mental fetters, after studying that, and you can find how many mental fetters or Okay, sorry. And here, if you can find the one rule is called the Ikahetuka types, or like this, you can classify by yourself. So for now, I just want to introduce regarding the accompanying manifestos or roots. The consciousness can be classified in this way. So for the first stage, Ahetuka and Sahetuka. Then Sahetuka consciousness can be classified into three types: Ekahetuka with one root, Trihetuka with two roots, and Tihetuka with three roots only. Because here, greed, hatred, delusion, and the other three of non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, they have the opposite nature. That is why they cannot arise at the same times. So the former three, greed, hatred, or delusion, they can arise together, and non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, they can arise together in their nature. That's why we can get at most three roots consciousness, three rooted consciousness. We cannot find any consciousness rooted in four roots, because two groups cannot arise or cannot mix up for their opposite nature. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you don't need to understand every information here. I'm just trying to introduce here based upon the Ahetuka and Sahetuka classification. We already identified their individuals, Ahetuka Pukala and Sahetuka Pukala, and you can recheck in the former lessons how we identify the Ahetuka Pukala and Sahetuka Pukala. Okay, so let's continue to next slides. Here, and this is beginning of the unwholesome consciousness. So Akusala being translated unwholesome, and it has the nature of papa. So we call in the Abhidhamma book is also used another name, Paṭipatti. So Paṭipatti and Akusala Citta, see. So papa, misty or demerit or evil. So this is called the unwholesome papa. So three types of consciousness rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion are called unwholesome, as I mentioned that in introduction. So the consciousness rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion are called unwholesome. If they are not rooted in greed or hatred or delusion, they are not called unwholesome. So this is the principle of the unwholesome nature. They are rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion, lobha, dosa, moha. Then, and for the name, because Akusala Citta will be classified into three types by the name of lobha mula citta, dosa mula citta, and moha mula citta. So here we have to know the meaning of the mula. In former slide, I already introduced the hetu as the roots. But here mula have the similar meaning or the same meaning of the hetu roots. Here the word mula is used just to make a little difference. So here mula is the most prominent roots, but they also refers to the hetu. So mula and hetu, most prominent roots. That's why in the Patana, it's called the hetu pacaya, the first conditional relation. It's called the hetu pacaya. That hetu pacaya refers to the potency of six roots. Potency of six roots in relation to the other mental factors and the materialities. They have the potency to support. That is called, that is why they are called the hetu. So here mula also was used for that. Akusala mula. So lobha, greed, dosa, hatred, moha, delusion. In this way, the past types of unwholesome consciousness, Loba Mula Citta, they are translated as consciousness rooted in greed, Loba Mula Citta, 8. There are 8 consciousness. And here the state of consciousness, the greed is principal roots. And when we see the slides mention the accompaniment effect, you will find that the roots there in this consciousness, this type of 8 consciousness, we can find the 2 roots, Loba and Moha together. But here, the principal root is Loba, because Moha is the common roots to all unwholesome. Moha is common roots to unwholesome. That is why, although we can find Loba and Moha together in the accompaniment effects of 8 kinds, but they are named by the name of Loba. So Loba Mula Citta. Then Dosa Mula Citta, consciousness with rooted in hatred. In the same way, in this 2 consciousness, in the 2 consciousness accompaniment effect, if you count it, you will see the 2 roots, Dosa and Moha together. But this second type also named as the Dosa Mula, because the principal root is hatred. The delusion is considered as the common roots. Okay, so for the last type, Moha Mula consciousness. This consciousness we can find only Moha roots among the accompaniment effects. So that is why they are called only Moha Mula, although Moha is common roots for all. But here, to name, this is the only root. That's why they are called the Moha Mula Citta. So just now what I explained is the reason how we can name the 3 group of unwholesome consciousness, Loba Mula, Dosa Mula, or Moha Mula. So for the number, Loba Mula, greed-rooted consciousness, 8, and Dosa Mula, hatred-rooted consciousness, 2, and Moha Mula, delusion-rooted consciousness, 2. Altogether, 12 unwholesome consciousness are divided into 3 groups. Okay, so the mental states. So mental state of unwholesome consciousness refers to the associated mental factors. So when the consciousness arises, according to the nature, they arise with the unwholesome mental factors. Because we already mentioned that the nature of consciousness is just to aware to the object. It does not have the unwholesome or wholesome or like the other types. By the accompaniment factor, they become unwholesome or they become wholesome like this. The example is given that the water itself, just water, if we say the pure water. There, if we put the yellow powder, it becomes the yellow water. If we add the red powders, it becomes red water. In the same way, the consciousness itself is clear, having the nature of the awareness to the consciousness. Cannot be identified wholesome or unwholesome types. But with the accompaniment factors of unwholesome, they become, this is unwholesome consciousness. This is wholesome consciousness. Okay, so they always arise together with the mental factors, and the mental factors become the sign or the base to name in different way. Okay, so before we continue on the association mental factors, let's make sure the former slide meaning. So as I said, the consciousness and mental factors arise together considerably in the group, but actually at the same time, they arise in the mental process. One is consciousness and the others mental factors having different nature. So we consider they arise in the groups because they come together, arise together, and then they disappear together at the same time. So when the visitor come to your house at the same time, so you consider that the group come, not only one. And when they go back together, and then you consider the group go back. So in the same way, the mental consciousness, one consciousness, and some group, some mental factors arise at the same time and disappear at the same time. And also they are taking the same objects, the same object. And also mostly based upon the same base. So they are considered as the arise in the group. Among the group, so have to find greed, hatred, delusion. If we can find this is unwholesomeness of groups. And okay, so and also the nature is like this. When they arise as the roots, greed, hatred, and delusion, when they arise as the roots of the unwholesome consciousness. But here the greed, lobha, and hatred, dosa, they cannot arise at the same time. When greed arises, hatred, dosa absent. And also, when the hatred arises, dosa arises, greed absent. So by this statement, you can understand at the time you are greedy or you attached to something, you cannot get angry. Also, when you get angry, you cannot, the lobha cannot arise at the same time. So sometimes we misunderstand, we develop attachment and greed. When the greedy mind arises, also get angry. But this is because the mind is very fast, too fast in the changing of the back and forth. Lobha to dosa, lobha mula to dosa mula to lobha mula, like this. Switching back and forth. We didn't understand the change, but we are thinking that at the same time, I get angry and the lobha arises in my mind. So this is not correct. According to the Abhidhamma understanding, when you get angry, you cannot, the greed cannot arise. And when the greedy mind arises, the hatred cannot arise at the same time. So keeping this information, we can continue. So without understanding with this nature, we were confused. Okay, so here, the delusion present in every state of unwholesome consciousness. It means that whenever unwholesome consciousness, delusion, moha, arise at every time. So let's see in three groups. In the first group of greed-rooted, or the consciousness rooted in greed, lobha mula citta. So you can find the roots among the accompaniment factor, lobha and moha. Because as I said here, the delusion, moha is common, so present in every state of unwholesome consciousness. So here, delusion and dosa mula also you can find with delusion, and moha mula, delusion only. So moha accompanied to every moment of unwholesome consciousness. Then we can see the difference between the first group and second group. First group or lobha mula citta associated with the root of greed and delusion. And second group associated with the dosa, hatred and delusion. And for the last group, moha mula citta, only delusion we can find. we cannot find in the third group accompaniment factors, hatred or delusion. Hatred or greed. Only delusion can be found as a root. That's why the last one is called the Moha Mula Citta. Because Moha is common roots to all unwholesome. If you say the Moha Mula Citta, and then the other can complain. So Moha Mula Citta refers to 12 because all 12 have the root of delusion. But you can say that the principal root emphasizing on the differentiating the one to another group. The first group, the greed is prominent roots. And for the second group, hatred is prominent root. That's why the first group is named as the Lobha Mula, and second group is named as Dosa Mula. For the third group, there's no other principal root other than the delusion. That's why only third group is named as the Moha Mula. So if you understand in this way, and then you can give the proper answer to that question. Why only the last two are called Moha Mula, although the 12 consciousness are accompanied by the root of delusion? So you have to explain in this way. Otherwise, you confuse the root is the root Mula. So Moha is delusion. So Moha and Mula. So we can find in every 12 consciousness Moha. That's why it seems all 12 can be called Moha Mula. But actually, the explanation is in this way. So, okay, let's continue. How we identify the roots by seeing by searching or pointing out in the accompaniment factor here. When the Akusala consciousness arises, generally, the at most 27 mental factors can accompany, at most, not always. So that's why this is general description. And among the 52 mental factors, okay, so remember that there are altogether 52 mental factors. Cittasika, second group of ultimate reality. So among the 52 mental factors, unwholesome mental factors, only 14. Unwholesome mental factors. And here 13 mental factors associate with different types. So that's why we have to include, sometimes they arise here, the inner line, the inner cycle. This explains the 13 mental factors related to the different types. So this group of 13 mental factors accompany to the unwholesome consciousness and also the other wholesome consciousness. They accompany to different types. But for the outer cycle, the 14 mental factors, they arise only with the unwholesome consciousness. That's why the 14 mental factors are named as the unwholesome mental factors, Akusala Citta. Like there is Akusala Citta, Akusala Citta also have, because they have their unwholesome nature. Okay, now we understand the 14 mental factors arise with the have the unwholesome nature, and this 13 mental factors related to different types. So altogether, 27 mental factors can accompany to the unwholesome consciousness at most. There we can find the greed as a root. The mental factors of greed, that is the root. And the mental factor of hatred are also root. And here, the mental factor of delusion, this is roots. So, okay, so if because this is they have the root of the greed, hatred, and delusion. They are called the sahetuka. Akusala Citta are called sahetuka. What are the root? Greed, lobha, and hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha. So all of them, they cannot arise at the same time, but they will arise in the specific types of consciousness here. And this like lobha, mula, citta. So for the lobha, mula, citta, the root of greed and delusion you can find among the accompaniment factors. But here, the dosa group absent, because as I said down, a lobha and dosa cannot arise at the same time, in the same types of the consciousness. So here, for the lobha, mula, citta, you can find only two roots of greed and delusion, lobha and moha. Sorry. In the same way, for the second type, dosa, mula, citta, you can find only two roots of hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha. Okay, so this is the dosa, mula types. And for third types, moha, mula, only moha you can find as a root. So absent, dosa, and lobha and dosa absent among the accompaniment factors. So this is how we can name unwholesome consciousness in the three groups, and also how they arise when they arise and the accompaniment factors. You know that the inner cycle of the mental factors, their context, feeling, perception, volition, one-pointedness, life faculties, attention, they arise with every consciousness because of that they are called the universal mental factors. So when we study about the mental factors, and we will classify their mental factor into the different groups according to their nature. So as the seven arise with every consciousness, every types of consciousness, they are called the universal mental factors. And they will be called occasional, application or sustained application, etc. The six were called occasional because sometimes they present, sometimes they absent. Okay, so in this lesson, we will focus on the unwholesome consciousness and how they are called unwholesome and how they are identified by the name of lobha, mula, dosa, mula, moha, mula. Then we will continue to the classification. So to classification, we will use different names. So for as a beginning, at the beginning, we use three types: lobha, mula, dosa, mula, moha, mula. Now you already remember by their number: lobha, mula 8, dosa, mula 2, and moha, mula 2. Then if we classify what are the lobha, mula 8, so consciousness itself just aware to the object by the root of the greed and delusion, they are called the lobha, mula. All 8 types share the same principle for this case. But to identify one to another, to classify one to another, for the 8 lobha, mula, we need to know more information. And also we need to have more reason to classify one to another. So, okay, to differentiate or to classify, and there are 3 principles for the lobha, mula, citta, 8 lobha, mula, citta. Okay, so the first one is feeling. Among the accompanying mental factors, there is the feeling is one of the mental factors, which is called vedana, feeling. So that vedana sometimes can be joint and sometimes can be neutral feeling, which is called equanimity. So when the rooted consciousness arises in the mind, in the mental process, sometimes accompanied by the joyful feeling, sometimes accompanied by the neutral feeling, equanimity. That's why we can divide it into two types. The lower Mula Citta accompanied by joyful feeling. Lower Mula Citta accompanied by neutral feeling. In this way, we get the two types of lower Mula Citta according to the accompanying feeling. Then, okay, keep the two types. After that, we continue. Another second stage of classification. So, in some consciousness, when they arise, the wrong view is present. It means the consciousness arises with wrong view. And sometimes the consciousness does not arise with wrong view. So wrong view is absent. So by the presence or absence of the wrong view, we get another two classification, two class. So the lower Mula first time classified into two, joyful feeling or neutral feeling. If we further classify, it becomes four, because the joyful feeling also with the wrong view and without wrong view. Neutral feeling also with the wrong view or without wrong view. In this way, we get the four types of lower Mula Citta. Then these four types can be sometimes prompted and sometimes unprompted. In this way, the four types become into two, so doubling eight types. So by the three principles, lower Mula consciousness become 8 types. Okay, so here, pre-rooted consciousness divided into two classes, feeling, joyful or equanimity, one become 2. Then, if further divided into 2, with by the presence of the wrong view, 2, and absent of wrong view become 2, become 4 altogether. After that, the okay, so prompt and unprompt. So the prompt and unprompt becomes another principle to classify. Yeah, prompt and unprompt. It become the 8. Okay, here there we have to understand there become four accompanied by wrong view. Detikata, Sampayutta, they call the Detikata, Sampayutta. And the other 4, they are called the associated, dissociated from wrong view, Detikata, Vipayutta. So, and after classification into 2, it becomes 4, then prompt and unprompt. So altogether, lower Mula consciousness become 8 types. So in the chart, it was clear. Okay, sorry. Let me show in the table. And okay, here, in order to make sure about the lower Mula, how do we understand? See, here, lower Mula is only one type. If we classify according to the accompanying feeling, 4 lower Mula become become the joyful feeling with joyful feeling, and then the other equanimity. Then also here, the differentiate by the associated with wrong view or dissociated from wrong view. So have the 4 Detikata Sampayutta and 4 Detikata Vipayutta dissociated from wrong view. And also, and the 4 types are unprompt and 4 types are prompted. Asankarika and Sasankarika here. Unprompt in Pali is called Asankarika, as well as Sasankarika. So here, one to another are not the same. Lower Mula. All lower Mula consciousness have their specific ID. For the past one, Somanasa Sahagata, accompanied by joyful, Detikata, Sampayutta, so associated with wrong view. So joyful with joyful feeling and also associated with wrong view and unprompt. Second one differ in the prompt factors. And the third one different the association and of the wrong view. So the second group, 2 consciousness differ from the former two, being dissociated from round view. In this way, you can classify all lower Mula Citta in their specific name. Otherwise, you are confused. So in our traditional learning, and we remember that Pāļi and the Pāļi different. So here, Somanasa Sahagata, Titigata Sambyuta Asankarika is the first name. And second name is Somanasa Sahagata, Titigata Sambyuta Sasankarika. So because the former are the same. And Asankarika, if we hear the last one Asankarika, we understand this is the first one. If we hear the last one Sasankarika, we understand it is second one in this way. So the Pāļi will be difficult for the beginners, but later, if you understand by the name of Pāļi, you understand it's easier, quite easier. So this is how we can classify the lower Mula Citta into a group. Okay. Then let's get back to the classification. Here for the name, we also have to know why they are called there like this. As I said, by the name of the Pāļi, they are called the Somanasa Sahagata, or like this. So first group, Somanasa and Sahagata, we have to understand. Here, the meaning of Somanasa, Su is pleasant and Mana is mind. Sumana become the person who have the pleasant mind or good mind, pleasant mind like this actually. The pleasant mind, because with the joyful feeling, we consider that is pleasant mind. So the feeling of pleasant mental state or the pleasant mental feeling is called the Somanasa. So the lower Mula consciousness, Guru-rooted consciousness, accompanied by the feeling of pleasant mental state is called the Somanasa. Then here for the one Sahagata, Saha is together, Kata is arising. So Sahagata is arising together. Sahagata arising together. So Somanasa Sahagata means arising together with the feeling of pleasant mental state. In the same way, we can apply this word Sahagata into the different feeling. If the feeling is sukha, so bodily pleasant. Here, the pleasant feeling is classified into two types, bodily and mental. So here, Somanasa is mental. So here, mental state already emphasized. And sukha bodily feeling, pleasant bodily feeling. But feeling is mental factor. The feeling of mental factor arises through the bodily context. That is why this is called the bodily feeling. Not physical one, not materialities. It is also mentalities. And for the unpleasant, it's also differentiate into two, domanassa and dukkha. So like somanassa is mental, yeah, domanassa also mental unpleasant feeling. For the dukkha, like a sukha, so it also comes through the bodily context. That's why the bodily, unpleasant bodily feeling is called dukkha. So in this case, usually we call sukha and dukkha, but it can be classified mental and the bodily. So it becomes four types of feeling. So sukha, bodily feeling, and mental feeling is called, mental pleasant feeling is called somanassa. Dukkha, bodily unpleasant feeling. And mental unpleasant feeling is called domanassa. So if you feel unpleasant through the bodily touching, now you are sitting a long time and know that you feel uncomfortable through the bodily contact. It is called the dukkha. And if you thinking about something and then you worry and you suffer and you feel unpleasant mental state, that is called the domanassa. So sukha and somanassa, dukkha and domanassa, you have to know how to identify. Then the last one is neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So it is called the neutral feeling. On the other hand, we can say that neither gladness or dejection. So that is called neutral feeling or equanimity. So in this way now, we get the 5 types of feeling. According to the 5 types of feeling, the consciousness are classified. That's why the feeling, accompanying feeling is one of the principles to identify the specific types of consciousness. So this is the first principle with the 5 types of feeling. Sukha, Somanasa, Sukha, Domanasa, Dukkha, and Upekkha. On the other hand, the Upekkha is called the Adukkha Masukha. So as you know that A is the object meaning. So negative meaning. So Adukkha means neither painful. Asukha means not pleasant. Okay, so this is first principle for the unwholesome consciousness to identify. So in this way, we get the Somanasa Sahagata, consciousness accompanied by joy. Sukha Sahagata, consciousness accompanied by bodily pleasure. And Domanasa Sahagata, consciousness accompanied by displeasure. And Dukkha Sahagata, consciousness accompanied by bodily pain. And for the last, Upekkha Sahagata, consciousness accompanied by neutral feeling or equanimity. Now we get there 5 types of consciousness according to the principle of feeling. Then, as we said, the 3 principles. For the second principle is associated with or dissociated from round view. So here, round view, we use the deity, the word deity. Deity can be in both sides, Samma deity and Miccha deity. So, Samma deity in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, we use the Samma deity. That is right view. Here, deity is Miccha deity, round view, because this is unwholesome case. We are talking about the unwholesome, that's why it cannot be right view. It is round view. So, deity refers to the round view. Yeah. Originally, deity is view or the opinion. Kata does not have specific meaning, so round view. So deity and deity kata same. Because this is the explanation about the unwholesome nature, the word deity, although it's connected to the Samma deity or Miccha deity in general case, it will refers to the round view. And so in the lower Mula Citta, when we give the name Somanasa Sahagata, after that we continue the Detikata Sambayutta or Detikata Vibhutta. If the consciousness associated with round view, that consciousness will name as Detikata Sambayutta. And for the another types, if the consciousness dissociated from round view, that type will name as Detikata Vibhutta. So for the feeling, although we mentioned the 5 kinds of feeling, but in lower Mula, we will get only 2 types. Some will be Somanasa Sahagata, some will be Upekkha Sahagata. Here also, in lower Mula Citta, only 2 types, Detikata Sambayutta or Detikata Vibhutta only. Then, for the Paṭika, this is for the second group, Dosa Mula Citta. So the word Paṭika, same as the Dosa. It's translated as anger. Anger. So dosa is anger. For the Paṭika, it choose another meaning, aversion. So for the Dosa Mula Citta, 2 types of Dosa Mula Citta associated with aversion. That's why Dosa Mula Citta will call the Paṭika Sambayutta. Okay, now we get the Sambayutta. But in this case, no Vibhutta, because all Dosa Mula consciousness associate with the aversion. Whenever you get angry, so aversion must be there. Then for the last group of Moha Mula group, Moha Mula 2 types, among the Moha Mula 2 types, one, Vicikicca. So one type associated with Vicikicca. That's one that is called the Vicikicca Sampayutta, associated with doubt. And the other type associated with restlessness, which is called Uddhacca. So in this case, you need to understand the Vicikicca and Uddhacca. What is Vicikicca? So Vicikicca translated as doubt. Here, the vexation due to the perplexed thinking. So in this session, and I will conclude by this explanation, Vicikicca and Uddhacca. So if you understand Vicikicca and you understand that associated with doubt, and if you understand the Uddhacca, restlessness, and you understand the associated with restlessness. So here, Vicikicca, the definition or explanation comes. The explanation is vexation due to the perplexed thinking. So hearing something, the statement of the teaching after listening, that you thinking from in different way, whether they can be possible or not, this is true or this is not true, like this. You thinking from different way, but without having the proper knowledge, you develop your direction of thinking from this standpoint, philosophical or psychological or religious aspect and science. You just develop, but you don't have the proper knowledge at the time. And the vexation comes, you get tired because only the way of the perplexed thinking develop, not conclusion, not understanding. This is one nature of Vicikicca. Doubt. And another meaning, being devoid of remedy considering in knowledge. So when one just develop the Vicikicca, the nature of doubt. So for example, the Nibbana will really have or not, really is it or not to attain. If not, what happened? Like this, you just develop that one. After that, and you just worry for that. You didn't learn the possible way how to make the conclusion. There's Nibbana. But just thinking, overthinking again and again. Later, although you are given this proper reason, there must be Nibbana as the ultimate reality. So you already developed your way of thinking with the Vicikicca. You don't believe on that. You don't accept. You cannot accept. It means that the remedy of the knowledge is not working to you. This is called the Vicikicca, the nature of Vicikicca. Very dangerous. Also very tired. And if you try to thinking something, not going, also you sit there and then if anything drop, oh, it can drop. And this must be the voice come dropping of that item or that item, or another one also possible, or the other also possible. Just developing. So it's doubt, but it is not called Vicikicca. Here, the Vicikicca is called the related to their virtues of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and also the karma, the system of karma, and the Paticcasamuppada, the nature of the cause and effect relationship. As long as you don't know about them, you cannot decide, you cannot be sure that. Then different way you think is called the Vicikicca, the work of Vicikicca, doubt. But in the junction, if you arrive junction and driving and right or left, you cannot decide. That is not called Vicikicca. This is lack of the knowledge. If you go one time and then you know the right way, and you will not have that kinds of confusion and you can continue. But this is not Vichikicha, and also this is no without Vichikicha, like this. Okay, so this is a nature of Vichikicha. And the second one, the Uddhacca, restlessness, mental distraction or agitation. So if you throw a stone into the group of ash, the ash go distract. That is, in the same way, the consciousness, by the power of this one, it has the nature or the distraction, but still it can take the specific object, but run around, not concentrated on one object. This is called the restlessness nature. So if the unwholesome consciousness associated with restlessness, it is called the Uddhacca Sambayutta. Okay, so this is another principle to identify the unwholesome consciousness, whether it's Sambayutta or Vipayutta. So Sambayutta can be for the Lobha Mula Citta, Ditti, so Ditthikata Sambayutta or Ditthikata Vipayutta. For the Moha Mula group, for the Dosa Mula group, it will connected to the word Patika. So Patika Sambayutta will come. For the Moha Mula group, it will come with the Vichikicha. That is why Vichikicha Sambayutta, and with the Uddhacca Sambayutta. So as I mentioned, because the reason why I mentioned this this information is to understand properly the name when we use in the enumeration of the unwholesome consciousness. Without this understanding, without this information, if we just count it, what is mean the Lobha Mula Citta, Lobha Mula is what is mean. So now you understand what is mean Lobha Mula. And now you understand what is mean Somanasa or Somanasa Sahagata or Upekha Sahagata. Then now you understand the Ditthikata Sambayutta or Ditthikata Vipayutta. And the last one where the Asankarika or Sasankarika will remain as a third principle. So we will continue in this class. Then we will finish the enumeration of the unwholesome consciousness in this class. So let's stop here for today's class. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sayadaw, for the Abhidhamma lecture. The Abhidhamma lecture section of the class is over for today. We will continue next week, as Sayadaw said. We will now begin the question and answer session of the class. If you have any, we will begin with the questions that were asked in the forum previously on the previous week. And if after that, or if you have any other questions during